welcome to the second ever episode of the Wandering Spirits podcast, a podcast about all things Pokemon, named after the Pokemon Runa Regus. It's at the current point in time my favorite Pokemon, but that is likely to change at some point, as it always does. For a bit, it was Chandelure. It's just whatever my favorite Pokemon is from my team in any particular game that just becomes my favorite Pokemon in the recent one that I've played. Like, after I played Legends EA, for a while my favorite Pokemon was Chandelure. Now it's Runa Regus, because that's the Pokemon I like to play with in Pokemon Champions. Anyway, I've got a relatively entertaining episode set up today. We are going to be talking about what's next for Kanto. Because after Red and Blue, got Red, Blue, then there's Fire Red and Leaf Green. Then they did Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. Although they also went back to Kanto in Gold and Silver and Heart Gold and Soul Silver. And then Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And then now with Pokemon Pokopia, I've probably missed something, providing us a distant future look at Kanto. Now, I haven't played Pokopia, I know, unfortunately, but I think it's still going to be interesting. So, strap yourselves in, and yeah. Okay, time for what's next with Kanto. I saw this interesting concept on a podcast. I think it was a podcast, or it was one of those cases where it was a video being taken from YouTube onto a podcasting platform. But it was, what if we had a Legends game for every region? And the one that intrigued me the most was not that it was the Johto one, or the Unova one, or the Alola one, or the Galar one, but I chose Kanto because it's the only one that I've finished, and also it's the most popular Pokemon region. So, what would maybe Legends Kanto? Doesn't have to be Legends Kanto though. It could be anything. Like Pokopia. That's a future Kanto. So we know what Kanto ends up like. I don't. You do. If you've played Pokopia, which is likely if you have a Switch 2. That game sold like 4 million in 4 weeks. It's pretty good sales. The Switch 2 only has 20... There are only like 20 million Switch 2s. That's 1 in 5 people that have a Switch 2 that own Pokopia. Which is not really seen in Pokemon games that much. Like, in comparison to, I think, Pokemon Stadiums, which has a similar number of sales, but it's on the Switch 1, so I think it's roughly only 2% of people that have a Switch 1 that have Pokemon Stadiums. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. Sidetracked, front-tracked, backtracked. I'm not backtracking. Anyway, time to go from sidetracking to front-tracking. So I saw this idea on that podcast. How did I get... I've done a full circle. Anyway, so I saw that idea on that podcast, and it was cool, so I'm going to steal it. I cannot, at this time, remember what the podcast was. How bad of me. It showed up on my, recommended episodes. So, yeah, so the main theme of it was cloning and the ethics of cloning, roughly. Like, Pokemon were getting cloned, like how Mew was cloned to create Mewtwo. And this was what if Team Rocket was secretly cloning every Pokemon to try and make every Pokemon stronger. So what ends up happening is, across, like, further in time, the Pokemon get stronger and stronger, but there are complications. I'm gonna add the complications. There are complications with these new Pokemon, with these new clones. They can't evolve, they can't lay eggs, and their HP stats are lower. Just to make it fairer, lower HP, but every other stat is buffed to the roof. And also that could make it seem more like the technology isn't there still. But yeah, that I've really been speaking for 6 minutes. What else could they do? Obviously there's Pokopia, which is like an abandoned Kanto experience, which I cannot talk about because I've not played it. I need to get sidetracked more. What can I get I need someone to bounce off of, that's the problem. Oh yeah, Fire and Leaf Green have also sold 5 million on the Switch and Switch 2, but that is on the original Switch 1. So, you know what, I'm gonna give up my topic for a tiny minute and talk about Pokemon Champions. Season M1 is coming to a close, and Season M2, it has started actually. By the time this is out, it's probably actually it started now. I just haven't played Champions since the new season starts. I don't think it's gonna be too different, at least compared to M1, because the regulation, aka the legal Pokemon that are, aka the Pokemon that are legal, is still the same. It's still regulation set MA, but it's just like one season of ranked and then another season of ranked, and then after that second season, that is when the regulation set changes. So that's gonna be fun or not fun. I do not know what the Pokemon in the, what's it called? My mind's gone blank. In the Battle Pass will be. But I just hope that they are Pokemon I don't have. That way, you know, I get new Pokemon. One Pokemon I really want, though, is Hawlucha, because I want a Mega Hawlucha team at some point. So that I can do that Mega Hawlucha entrainment into something that knows Sheer-Cold. I don't know if Sheer-Cold's actually in the game. Most of the Pokemon I've seen use it the most is, I believe, Excadrill, which lets it one hit kill Pokemon with a fissure, because what the Okay, I'm going to explain this because I have time. Because what the ability No Guard does is it makes it so that your attacks will never miss. Now, this is intended to be given to Pokemon that don't learn extremely powerful moves that's only drawback is that they can miss, that they have a really low chance to hit, like those one-hit KO moves, or moves like High Jump Kick, which, if you miss, you take recoil damage, but they're really powerful. And I think it's like a 30% chance to miss, which is still not great, but hey, if it's 100% accurate, it's 50% accurate. You're hitting it half the time, so you can only really safely use it 4 times before you're dead. Anyway, I was going to talk about more things that I think could be useful for the team. Honestly, though, I think Sheer Cold will be better because Sheer Cold is the Ice type one-hit KO move, which means that I believe it's the only one that no type is immune to. But then again, I do not know if Sheer Cold's even in Pokemon Champions. Oh yeah, I didn't even mention Entrainment. Entrainment is an ability that basically gives the target your ability. It's like the reverse of the ability Trace. Now, I should explain Trace. Trace, basically, it turns your ability into your opponent's ability, essentially. So if you were looking for, say, an Rockruff with the ability Own Tempo to get a Dusk Form Liking Rock, you lead with a Gardevoir that has Trace. You'll be able to see that the Rockruff has Own Tempo, and then if it doesn't, you can catch one that does. So I've been completely sidetracked. Oh yeah, this Hawlucha team. I need Hawlucha. I don't have Hawlucha. And also, my brain thinks of more Pokemon teams than I think physically know. My brain thinks of more Pokemon teams than I can create, which is annoying because Champions for free has the 3 free battle teams. So then once you go beyond that, you either have to pay for more or you have to get rid of your current teams. Which, for someone like me, I've only got one team that I'm swapping out occasionally. So as soon as that team becomes consistent as well, I'm kind of screwed because I've got my singles team, which is my Mega Starmie. It's my Mega Starmie team. Mega Starmie has the ability Huge Power, which doubles its attack, making it really strong. Then I've got my doubles team, which is a mess. I explained it last episode. Hey, selfless plug, watch the last episode. Not watch, listen to. Because yeah, I'll get more views and listens and stuff, which will be good for me because I don't know why. Because number go up, me feel good. Anyway, I'm getting out of hand here. I should probably take a break for my own good and the good of all of you listening. So I guess I'll do that. Okay, I am back, and I've decided preemptively that to stop me from just rambling, I'm going to I actually have a plan for this that'll hopefully actually lead to a discussion with myself like a crazy person, as it normally sounds like I am. Anyway, so I've decided to talk about is Pokemon Champions truly a free-to-play game? Because there are like free games that have shops like Clash Royale or Brawl Stars, or there are free-to-play games that instead of having a shop have ads, which companies pay them so then they can at least make some money. And then there are those free-to-play games that do both. They have ads and a shop. I don't like those because you're making money one way. Don't make money both ways. That's just no. Anyway, what was I talking about again? Champions, yes. Anyway, Pokemon Champions is a free-to-start game with price tags on, honestly, very minimal things. Like, there is a starter pack that gets you, like, 50 box spaces and a few other resources. But like, I haven't bought it. I probably will at some point, but that's more of my choices and the fact that I'm probably going to be playing this game for a while. And so if you're starting the game, you see the starter pack. Wait, I've gotten off track here. So is the starter pack really necessary? I would say not really, because as you go from each rank, you actually gain box spaces. So I have currently 40 box spaces, so I can store 40 Pokemon. And considering I can only have 18 Pokemon on teams, that's more than enough. That's not even considering the fact that Runerigus is on 2 teams, as you can tell. I probably should add it to the singles team. It's just singles is a lot more unpredictable. And I use Runerigus to activate Intimidate twice. Twice more. I use this. I use a move called Leech Life on my Arbok, which is a low power move. Which is a low power move that heals Arbok. Doesn't do too much. It's not very effective on the Runerigus, and it makes contact. So then the Runerigus and the Arbok swap abilities because of Runerigus' Wandering Spirit, and then Runerigus uses a move like Body Press, or I believe right now it's Grass Knot. And Grass Knot, what it does is it's a grass type move and it deals more damage the heavier the target, and it's a contact move, so then they swap abilities again. Intimidate triggers. So that is what I use Runerigus for. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked again. Are the box spaces worth it? Do you need more box spaces? Not really. But obviously, as time progresses and Pokemon actually do fall out of the meta, but they are still in your boxes, taking up box space, maybe I could start seeing it, but right now, no. Anyway, the next thing you can pay money for is a yearly membership where you can get 1,000 extra box spaces and 12 extra battle teams. That is a lot of extra battle teams. And for someone like me who wants to team build, who likes team building constantly, I could see that as being worth it. I don't have it because I rarely actually do spend money on free games. But that's besides the point. And again, I'm probably going to get it eventually. Because I do see myself playing the game for quite a bit. So that's the payment side where, yeah, the payments exist, but are they really worth it? Kind of, I guess, but not too much actually. Because for the box spaces you do get, you have enough teams, but like you're trying to get a Pokemon and then the rental, and so then you have a bunch of rental Pokemon that you're just never going to use, so you just throw them back. I could see that being a bit wasteful. But then on the other side of the Pikachu coin, how else would you be able to, I'm pausing too much. How much would you be able, my brain's died. What else would you do for Pokemon recruitment? Because if there is not too much of a benefit to, if there is nothing to getting Pokemon, why even put in the work of bringing them from Pokemon Home, which is also what they're trying to do because they want you to get the yearly Pokemon Home subscription as well. To bring Pokemon in from Pokemon Home, what's the point of that if you can just get any Pokemon right off the bat? And it also adds value to them in the way of it gives people a reason to log in every day, which is incredibly valuable for any game. I don't exactly know the logistics of it, but I think maybe if you're up early, like when you're awake early, you're thinking less. Your brain doesn't brain as much, so you're more likely to make purchases. I don't know. But also, if you do something daily, it's going to be perceived as more valuable to you, I guess. Which is why most free apps do have free daily rewards to try and get you logging in every day. That's why Duolingo has its streaks. That's why Brawl Stars has the daily freebie. That's why Pokemon Pocket has the 2 little packs. Something that you do daily is going to be perceived as more essential, and therefore you're more likely to spend money on it. I haven't, mainly because I don't cave in and purchase things I don't want or need. But Fortnite has proved that people do that. Do. Anyway, I'm a child. Nope, my bottle fell. No water came out of it because the lid is on, but it fell and it's on the floor. Anyway, what was I talking about again? Oh yeah, Pokemon Champions. Okay, so then VP is actually quite easy to get, to be honest. Like, you lose and you get between 40 and 150 victory points. And you win, and you're guaranteed 300 victory points. However, you also uh, may get a little extra for a win streak or something similar. So there's that. So I don't actually think there's too much of a VP shortage, but that's just my personal take. Because once you've got your team, you're winning the battles, you're still gaining the victory points. So then, when the new regulation comes around, you've got plenty to recruit the new strong Pokemon, or recruit, or to change up your Pokemon's moves because one of them's now illegal, or something like that. Or buy new items or Mega Stones or something of that similar degree. So I don't think victory points is the problem. What I am going to talk about in the next segment, because I feel like this could be an entire discussion on itself, is Pokemon Champions good for players new to competitive? However, I am going to take a break because I need a drink of water and my bottle is now on the floor. So, with that being said, see you on the other side. Okay, I am back now. And so now, time to answer the question, is Pokemon Champions good for new players? Now, I would argue, yeah, it's really good for the players that just, needed a nudge to get into competitive. I was one of those people. I played Pokemon Showdown from time to time, which was the unofficial battle simulator, and I quite enjoyed it, but it always felt like there was this invisible barrier. Not that there was anything stopping me from playing Champions, mainly because I don't know why, but just the act of going to a website felt inconvenient. And also, Pokemon Showdown felt it looked like something that was very much just strictly for competitive. And then Pokemon Champions came along, and it deals with the fact that I don't really want to open Pokemon Champions that much. Not Pokemon Champions. Pokemon Showdowns. I don't want to go to my browser and do it on the web. It also fixes the other problem of, what was the other problem? I can't remember what the other problem was. My brain moves so fast. What was I saying? So that was going to the website. Oh yeah, and the visuals. While some argue to be horrible, at first I thought they were. It was an okay art style. I've since gone back on that. It doesn't look the best, but it still looks better than Showdown, in my opinion. So, the tutorials. The tutorials are the parts that every competitive player dreads. And honestly, I just sort of blazed past them. I just went, yep, just did them one by one. And it gives you actually quite a bit of VP, enough for you to have a pretty viable team and start what? My brain's died. And start learning what moves and stuff, and properly train them to what you want. Now, the game doesn't really address the my brain's died. The game doesn't really address it. The meta doesn't address the popular Pokemon, and that's by design. I think Nintendo wanted not just new players to be brought to competitive, but also to add some variety to competitive. While granted, the top Pokemon players are always going to use the top Pokemon, having it all in this casual setting made it so that you see a lot more variety. And then you kind of, or at least for me, feel kind of shame for using just the boring top 6 team of Basculegion, Pelipper, Incineroar, Arcaladon. What else? My brain's died. It's 5:10. I cannot be. It's 5:10. I'm tired. Anyway, yeah, Arcaladon, Incineroar, and Rotom, Wash. I kind of feel shame for using them because you see all the other people with these like different teams, like, oh, this person's using Superior. Oh, this person's using Furfrou. Don't know if anyone actually uses Furfrou. This person's using Pikachu. I feel bad for them. Anyway, it encourages a lot more creativity, or at least I think. Then you go on showdowns. Oh yeah, you sit. Okay, yeah. Well, just the team is presented in front of you. And I also think the rental teams are another way the game encourages creativity. Because you're given a list of 10 Pokemon. You don't know what those 10 Pokemon are going to be. And so, like, especially in the first view, you see a Pokemon, you're like, oh, that's kind of nice. I like the ability, which is what I did for Runerigus, and how Runerigus became my favorite Pokemon. You go, oh, that ability is cool. I want to do something with that. You're like, okay, cool. There. And it made it seem, and also the rentals made it seem a lot more like the Pokemon was yours than if you just put it onto a list. And then you just use the list to battle with. And honestly, I think the format itself leads to creativity, because there are no powerful Pokemon really at all, apart from Mega Floette, which I've only seen a couple times actually. It's not really been too much of a problem. It's not really been too much of a problem, mainly because I've not seen it, and also because I've got an Arbok that knows Poison Jab. Mega Floette has a really low physical attack. Arbok has a quite high has a passable physical attack, and Poison Jab is super effective against the Floette. So yeah. I've also got a Whimsicott with Tailwind. I like Whimsicott. Although these are all on different teams. Not on the same team, I don't think. I need just to make an anti-Floette team. Anyway, that's for another time. So, is Pokemon Champions good for new players? It is if they are not 100% fresh to competitive Pokemon. I'd say, because you get these new players doing all this stuff. No, so you get these new players learning all this stuff, and the Pokemon Company, it never wants to show favoritism to a Pokemon competitively. So you don't get the same value with the tutorials as you would get from like a Wolfie VGC video, for example. So I feel like it is very good for the players that just needed that nudge to go into the competitive. It is not good for players who weren't really thinking about competitive, but just doing it anyway. But who weren't thinking about competitive, but just went on a whim and was like, oh, I'll try that. So if you were thinking of going to competitive, great. If you weren't thinking about it, you probably weren't playing the game anyway. So I think overall it's a good game. So that has been this episode of the Wandering Spirits podcast, hosted by me. And yeah, it went from a Kanto discussion to a champions discussion, which is how ADHD works. I probably have ADHD, I just can't be bothered to get diagnosed. Anyway, that's all, and I will see you next week. As I should. Why did I need to think about saying next week? I don't know. Anyway, that's not exactly all the time I have, but that's the extent of my brain power right now. Anyway, farewell.